Hi, welcome to Yash's podcast. I'm your host, Yash. How's it going? How's everyone doing? And today, we're going to be filming. Come on in for our podcast. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about birth control. Okay, hi guys, we're back once again. So, what is birth control? Birth control refers to a method that people use to delay or stop pregnancy. It is very helpful for families who are not ready to have kids and their wives are already pregnant. So there are 4 different types of birth control. Number 1 is the hormonal methods. This includes pills, patch, injection, and vaginal ring. They work by regulating hormones to prevent ovulation. Number 2 is barrier methods. Condoms, diaphragms, and cervical caps, physically blocking sperm from reaching an egg. 3, long-acting reversible contraceptions, or LRC, or LARCS, IUDs, and implants offer long-term protection without daily effort. 4 is emergency contraception, often called the morning after pill. It can reduce the risk of pregnancy after unprotected sex if taken promptly.
Wow, I didn't know there were 4 types of birth control. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. I first learned about the diaphragm at school, and I made a slideshow.
About the diaphragm?
Yeah.
Was this interesting? Do they make it interesting at school?
The thing that I found it interesting, because I go on Reddit a lot to discuss generations, and then I actually look up birth rates to see how high the birth rate was during a time.
Wow, I didn't know you did all that. That's awesome. So you were telling me something about the generations. Our audience hasn't.
I thought that my teacher said that the birth control was legalized in 1965, which is the start of Gen X. And I'm thinking that's probably the reason why birth rates declined in the late 60s and 70s.
And why the Generation X is the smallest generation.
And that's why it's the smallest generation.
Yes, absolutely. Do you like learning about this stuff?
I kind of like learning about this stuff, and also because I was interested in birth rates.
Okay, so what was the birth rate of the boomers a generation earlier? Because the silent generation, let's do some look. What was the silent generation birth rates?
So boomers are outnumbered by Gen X in the United States. So in 2023, boomers make up about 20.93% of the US population.
Wow.
And it was a peak of high fertilization because World War II just ended after the boomer generation started being born. World War II ended, which caused a spike of birth rates between 1946 and 1964.
Oh, okay. So you said between 1956 and 1964. So that's
1946 and 1964.
Oh, okay. That's the boomer generation.
Yes.
Okay. So when everybody got back from war, birth rates spiked.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. You can understand that, right? Because the soldiers all came home with their families and then birth rates go up.
Yes.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But how come is it Gen Z? Which is the big one?
The biggest generation? The biggest generation right now, since the boomer population is aging, millennials are now the biggest generation.
No way. Really? Really?
Yes.
Huh. By population, it's still the boomers. Well, in 1999, there were 78.8 million boomers. But
due to them aging, a majority of the world's population is now millennials.
I think you are, yes. And the Zs, because Gen Z is now in the workforce.
Yeah, Gen Z is now like the primary age for like pop culture.
Okay, and do you think Gen Z is well aware of birth control methods?
I don't know if Gen Z is well aware of birth control methods that it could be because, for example, diaphragm was the one I learned.
Okay.
And it basically helps prevent pregnancy and works as a barrier to like that. It covers your cervix,
Yes.
which stops sperm from joining an egg.
Right.
And it uses sperm side to work the best.
Right. And it doesn't need injections or anything.
Yeah, it doesn't need injection.
Is it a pill?
Oh, diaphragm, it is kind of a pill, but like it looks.
So you take it, you ingest it, or is it something you? I don't even know how to.
You actually put it in your stomach. It's not a pill. It's a barrier to prevent like sperm from like reaching the egg.
Got you. Okay. Do you think your generation, because you're Generation Z, right?
Yes.
Do you think you guys are prepared with knowledge about birth control and to take over the country soon?
But like what? I don't know what causes accidental pregnancies.
See,
Maybe just prevent having sex.
I mean, Yash, I don't know what to say. I don't know if that's going to happen. It's never really happened.
But like the average age where people lose their virginity, I heard is like late teens.
Is it?
Yeah, I heard.
Huh. Okay. And so they need to know about birth control.
That the average age where people lose their virginity in the United States is only 17.
What? Wait, you're blowing my mind right now. First of all, that's on the internet?
Yeah, that's on the internet. I've heard.
Wow. So 17. Is the birth rate going up? Are birth rates going up? Or
No, they're going down right now. And they've actually been declining since 2008.
Is it a little decline or is it a lot? Can you, like, is...
I heard they actually declined significantly.
Oh, wow. Okay. The boomers have 78 million people. That's so much.
That since 2008 the US birth rate has significantly declined, with the number of births constantly decreasing each year, resulting in a drop of several million fewer births.
Okay, but the population is still higher than it was in 2020, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Let me look it up.
And Gen Alpha's still not a huge generation.
Well, they're not finished.
Even though, I mean, I've heard that it actually just ended, because I heard it ends in 2025.
What?
But I think they're still not finished yet.
Let's see. When do they start? When does Gen Alpha start?
I mean, it's very controversial. Some say it starts in 2010. Some say it starts in 2013.
So if it started at 2010, then my son would be a Gen Alpha.
Okay, but also there's another Gen Z range which goes up to 2012.
And that's Gen Z. I'm so confused. Help me understand.
Like the millennial and Gen Z range is different, and not all of them are the same. A lot of them are different.
Right, okay. Stay with the camera.
Yeah, a lot of them are different.
Okay. So I just looked something up, and it says that in 2020, the population in the U.S. was 331 million. And as of 2020, the U.S. population is estimated to be around 335 million. So it's growing.
Yeah.
So how do you...
The population hit 8 billion in November 2022.
The planet?
Yes. The population hit 8 billion.
You're so smart. I just looked. It says 8.1 billion people on the planet. But it's growing at a slower rate than all the other times. I think that's good.
That's good.
What do you think?
That's good. So we can still keep the world young.
Wait a minute. Why does the world need to be young?
No, we just need to keep the world at an average population. We need to make sure the world is not aging.
When you say the world, do you mean people or do you mean the planet?
Like the planet.
Okay. Do you think the planet is aging?
Do you think? I don't think so. I mean, most people, when you go out in public, in a public setting, most people seem to be in their 30s, 40s. Some are elderly. Probably because millennials are the largest generation in the US right now.
Are they? It doesn't, see, I keep finding that they say that the boomers are. But
I've heard that millennials surpass boomers, I heard.
Currently, the U.S. Millennials, you're right.
Millennials surpassed baby boomers in terms of population around 2019, according to the U.S. Census Bureau.
The Bureau. Yeah, you're right. You're so right. Everything you say is so on point. How do you know? Do you go and memorize this stuff, Yash?
I actually just used ChatGPT recently.
But you remember this stuff.
Yes, I remember all this stuff.
So you have a good memory.
And try to learn if I'm actually like if Gen Z is actually a huge population, which I thought it was because birth rates also were extremely high in 2007. Like 2007 had the highest the birth rate in 2007 was just as high as it was in the 50s.
What?
Because of that.
Oh no.
Because of that, high school seniors which were born around that year, I mean, I myself am also one, but I'm a junior because my birthday's in November. A lot of them are struggling with their college applications due to how huge their class is because their birth year had such high rates that they're struggling with college applications. They're getting rejected because it's too full.
Wow. I never thought about that's part of the problem when you have a really big generation.
Yes.
So let me ask you then.
Like a lot of people on TikTok are saying being an 07 is the worst because of college.
I never thought of that, Yash. So it makes it harder because there's so many more kids.
Because their birth year had the birth rate when they were born was just as high as it was when boomers were born. And it was much higher than it was in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah. Wow. So what do you do about that? Like should we have more birth control? Should we have less birth control?
Should, so that way college applications are not too full.
Do you think we're going to still need college though?
I mean, we do need college.
Why?
We do because people need to get good jobs.
But if you can get a good job without college, what about those people? Do you think that's possible?
What?
Do you think it's possible for people to get good jobs without college?
Maybe somewhere. Maybe if you're maybe not a 4-year university, maybe community college.
There are lots of ways to go to college. How about online?
Or online?
Right. Online, you can go to community college.
Yeah.
You can go to specialty schools where you learn about automotive, or if you want to help build houses or build buildings, there's contractors.
Yes.
It's a lot to do. Okay. So what year were you born?
I was actually also born in 2007.
Wait a minute. That's how you know so much.
So I
about
actually I'm actually a victim of this birth spike.
Not a victim, Yash.
No, so I mean I'm actually a part of this birth spike.
No, I think that's great language. You're doing perfect.
Yes.
So you feel like you're a victim of this birth spike.
Yes, but luckily I was born late in the year, so I'm not graduating till next year. So hopefully my applications will be easier.
You know what? You are so smart. I can't even deal with it. You're plotting this out so you know what your chances are.
Yes.
Wow. See, we never, and maybe it's because I'm in the smallest generation. Gen Z, we didn't think like that, most of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when you're thinking about colleges, where are you thinking? Or are you thinking about it?
Okay, yeah, I mean, I was thinking about like a college with a good computer science degree, and I downloaded this app called Square, which helps you look at colleges near you based on what the best one is for your major.
Okay. And so you're thinking you would major in
like I first thought of computer science, engineering, or law to become, or maybe something else to become a lawyer.
Okay, you would be a good lawyer. You're very good at being able to go back and forth with people.
Yeah.
And I could see you doing that. And you're so good with your information. I feel like as soon as you read something, you retain it. You remember it.
Okay.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay. Do you like learning?
Yeah, I do like learning.
Okay. Did you like learning about birth control?
Yeah, kind of. And and my teacher, I've also noticed that a majority of my students, I noticed that a majority of my senior friends, I've also noticed that none of them at my school are complaining about how hard it is to get into college because their class is so massive that the applications are hard.
Wow. I guess you're right. So if you have all these kids going into a grade, right into freshman year in college,
Because if you have people born during the peak of birth rates, then of course, then applications would be too filled in.
huh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Gen Z is expected to overtake the millennials by 2030s.
Oh, the 2030s.
Yeah, I think there's going to be more rapidly growing, but not yet the largest.
Yeah.
By 2030s, Gen Z is expected to surpass millennials in size.
Yes.
Okay. I have an interesting question. So, which generation is expected to use birth control the most?
Okay. So which generation used it the most?
Most. Or used it the most. Let's see.
So the generation that is often considered to have used birth control the most is Gen X, which several factors contributed to this. Wider availability and acceptance. Birth control methods included the pill, which was widely available and socially acceptable in the 60s and 70s, coinciding with the rise of Gen X.
Okay.
This period saw a significant shift in attitudes towards the family plans and sexual freedom. With birth control introduced, women could work more.
Yes.
People had better options with jobs that both could work.
Yeah.
Cultural and social shifts. The feminist movement and sexual liberation movements of the 1960s and 70s are contributed to the widespread use of birth control, especially among women who were seeking more control over their reproductive choices and careers. So increased contraceptive orders during the Gen X years, there were more options for contraception, including oral contraceptions like the pill,
Intracontraceptive. Intracontraceptive?
IUDs,
Yes.
and condoms, making it easier for individuals to prevent unwanted pregnancies.
Yeah. Okay, so I learned something new. Gen X is the one that had the highest historical usage. Huh. Interesting. But once again, it says here on mine that Gen Z may surpass all prior generations in birth control usage due to cultural shifts, economic concerns, and policy changes. Huh. Sure, let's see.
So the birth rate was low. Yeah, the birth control bill, according to ChatGPT, the birth control bill was the main reason why birth rates declined.
In
In the 60s.
In the 60s, okay. Boomers and their families.
And also due to economic factors, like the 1970s saw economic struggles, including recessions and high inflation rates, which made it financially difficult for families to have children. The cost of living was rising too, and wages weren't always keeping up, which discouraged larger families.
Okay, are there places in the world where you can only have one or two children?
Yes, there have been countries that have implemented politics limiting the number of children a family could have. Like, for example, China has a one-child policy, which they introduced in 1979 which was from 1979 to 2015.
Wow.
Which only allowed, but then it got replaced with a two-child policy in 2015, which means people could not have anything more than two children over there. Vietnam has a two-child policy.
Really? So there are still places that have two-child policies.
Yes.
But nobody has a one-child policy. And I wonder if those places use more birth control.
Yeah.
Why don't you ask ChatGPT, do those places use birth control more than the US?
Yes, some of the countries do have implemented population control policies, such as China, Vietnam, and India. Like
Okay.
the use of birth control in China is historically has been high due to the one child policy that people had to people had to use it.
Okay. And I believe the Indian population is a lot bigger than
Yeah.
the United
Yeah,
States.
India
What's the
has over a
number?
billion people. The US only has 300 million people.
331 million compared to a billion people.
Yes. China's
Wow.
like I heard India recently passed China in terms of population.
Wow. I want to go visit one day. I've never been. Have you been?
Yeah, I've been there.
Would you recommend it as a trip to take?
It's quite of a long flight, so not really.
That's the hardest
But it
part of it.
depends.
I mean, I want to go to Australia too, and that's a 16-hour flight.
Yeah, that's a
so.
very long flight.
Have you been?
No,
Not
maybe
yet.
only once when I was a baby.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't take my son on a bunch of trips when he was a baby because he was a baby. So, Yashi, we're coming around now. We're at 20 minutes.
So yeah, we're at 20 minutes.
So
But anyways,
wrap it up. What did you learn overall?
so overall, I learned that birth control is a way that can help you delay pregnancy if you're not ready to have kids, but you're pregnant.
Absolutely. Thank you. Say goodbye to your audience.
Anyways, bye guys. Thanks for watching,
See you.
and we'll see you next time.